It currently is the 7th of October and I have done nothing but pack orders for the last few days, so I'm going to go and send those off now. I've been feeling really low energy since the store launch. I'm just really tired, really drained, which is understandable because the last few weeks of store prep I didn't stop. If I wasn't making something, I was drawing something, so I'm just very tired, if I'm honest. So I thought a good, nice walk. I wasn't actually meant to send out these till tomorrow, but I thought a nice long walk would do me some good. But yeah, I have content to do, and I'm just not in the mood to do it. I have so much work to do for Comic-Con that it's not even funny that I've decided for this month, I'm just not going to stream, and if videos come out, I'm just tired. We booked travel for Comic-Con yesterday, and it cost a lot. Going to London by a train always is a little bit of a gamble. We decided to wait to see, well, how tickets were, see if it was going to go on or not with everything that's been going on. And with less than 2 weeks before, in fact it's 2 weeks today that we will be leaving, there's no changes, no nothing. We're both fully vaccinated, so we're ready to go, essentially. I say essentially, I've got so much packing to do, but what can I say? So it's just sort of higgledy-piggledy, everything is just up in the air at the moment, and it's sort of very stressful. But yeah, train tickets. We're training there and coaching back because train tickets were going to cost me £220. That's for 2 people. Now normally, when we've done it in the past, I think the most we've ever paid for there and back was about 140. So that's a price increase of about £60. Now that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but that's food for the entire weekend. That's a lot of money. So we bought train tickets there, which cost us about 98, and coach on the way back, which is a longer journey, but I think it's just going to be, for profit wise, so much better, considering we don't even know how this Comic-Con's going to go, with it being the first convention since lockdown. We'll have to see. But yeah, so I'm just heading to go and post these orders, get back, and if I end up editing this video today, I'm just in such a low mood. We'll see. So literally just uploaded last month's studio vlog, and typing away, making sure everything's okay, and I get an email. Now, if you know me personally, there's a convention I have always wanted to do, and I've applied every single year, and I've never gotten in. I'm physically just by my own. I've got in because someone was selling their table and they didn't want it anymore, so I took it, and explained to exhibitors, and that's the way I've done that convention before. I just got an email. I'm going to Thought Bubble, baby. Which means we've got Comic-Con, and then 3 weeks later we'll have Thought Bubble. So, exciting, but also not really much we'll have to do, because we'll just take more of the comic stuff with us to be able to go to T-Bob's, because Thought Bubble is one of those, they mainly focus on indie comics and stuff like that, so we'll have a lot of we've got a lot of that stock already, which is fantastic. So I've just sent them an email back saying that, hey, I would love to go. Just double checking how many passes come with the table, just because I do need a helper with my current state. I definitely do need a helper. So that's exciting. Football was the one that all my friends do in the convention scene, and I've never really gotten in, and it's one of those, it happens. But I am very, very excited because
like some really big names are there, like really, really big names, and I'm just like, it's more of a networking convention, but I'm very excited for that because networking is super important. But oh my god, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I'm just screaming at it, but my friends going, oh my god. It was what I sort of decided, because there's another convention that was happening at the same time, which is Birmingham Comic Con. And half of my art friends are doing Birmingham Comic Con, half of my art friends aren't doing Birmingham Comic Con because they're attending Thought Bubble instead. Thought Bubble is the biggest comic convention in the UK. Like, just for indie comics and comics in general, it is the one you want to go to. Like, it is the one you want to go to for like comics. So I'm freaking out. It was also my first ever convention I ever attended. But I think it was 2010, I think. I can't know, it was earlier than that. It was like 2009. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. Considering I was having a really bad day, that's really perked me up. I now need to do today's Drawvember, or whatever we're calling it, Spooktober, because I haven't done it. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it.
It currently is Saturday the 16th of October, the week before Comic-Con, the calm before the storm. It has been a bit of a week. I was worried I was going to have to cancel Comic-Con. If I'm honest, I haven't filmed a lot this week. I even cancelled doing this week's video because, if you can't hear it in my voice, I came down with a really bad cold. Like, I was really, really worried because I thought it was COVID, considering we have been trial running, like going out here and there, not doing anything massively excessive and still keeping safe. But especially with like Comic-Con this month and another convention next month, I have to sort of like ease myself getting back to used to crowds without panicking or anything like that. And it's been semi-successful, I would say. Not as successful as I would like, let's be honest. But and obviously genuinely was worried. So I've taken lateral flows, all have been negative. I've been taking them like a few days apart from each other, mainly because at the beginning of your symptoms it could falsely test negative, and in the middle of your symptoms it could be positive. So I've been making sure of that, and I'm on the tail end of it now, but it's been a week. There's so much to do and so little time, so I'm gonna go and post orders, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
So, con prep finally begins, but not without Bella making sure that chaos certainly will reign in time with Bella. She certainly was having her helping hand all the way through doing con prep, like entirely. Like if her paws were not trying to go into the printer, she was lay across my guillotine while I was trying to cut things and everything like that. But con prep pretty much took up the majority of this month, because if I wasn't sorting that out, I was sorting other things out on top of that to try and make sure that everything touched base, as well as making the weekly orders out. And then I had that week where I was sort of like sick, so a lot of it was just going through what stock I currently had, because I always have like a base amount of stock sorted, and then packing what would be suitable for the event. Now with Comic-Con, I couldn't take any fan art. We had to limit on like what merchandise items I was able to bring, so I only brought a small selection of what I normally had, as well as I had to update some of my signage because some of my prices had changed, or we had new products where signs needed to be made, so I printed some signs off and laminated them. Doesn't necessarily need to be laminated. I just find that it lasts a little bit better if I laminate them. Plus, it can all be wiped down, which is always a phenomenal hit if you do ask me. So, while I was sorting all that out, we had some stock arrive. So I reordered the Prickles comics, and I'd ordered Sketchbook Volume 6 so that we had that at the event. But it was just printing, cutting, sticking, assembling, trying to make sure that I had an amount of everything. As for stock, I try to take about 15 to 20 of each item. If I know something's a little bit more popular, I will take more of that item than what I actually need. I tend to do this with newer prints because some of these prints that I have, I've sold at events for years upon years. So I try and have like newer stock and older stock. With the older stock, I don't bring as much. With the newer stock, I tend to bring a little bit more. I've always overdone it, so I'm trying to be a little bit smarter with what I'm taking. But then again, at events, you can never predict what's going to sell. I've had events where like I've had like a merchandise where I'm like, okay, during my tests online, this seems to be responding really well. Let's do this. And then when I've gone to the event, it's not done well at all, or something that will do really well at one event won't do well at another. Prints are sort of like on the decline at the moment. I find that a lot of people don't really pick up prints as much as they do, or they tend to pick up smaller prints, and this is due to like them maybe running out of space, or it doesn't really fit their aesthetic, or they're just worried about how they're going to transport it back. So having a good variety of stock, in my experience, has worked really well for me. That's why I have the stickers, I have the prints, I have the pins, I have the books, because there's always going to be something for someone. But it was sort of like difficult to try and think, okay, what is going to work? And because I pre-empt everything, so I like all the grid cubes are pre-set up, it just makes my life a little bit easier. Like I have all my pin displays pre-set up as well, because by the time we get to the con, all we need to do is just pop that up very quickly. And it's sort of like, I like to take my time doing setup, but if I need to rush, I can do, because then I've always got something set in motion. I also like take pictures of old displays and try and improve them each time. But yeah, this is just lots of prep. so much prep.
currently the 20th of October. Where has this month gone? Like, last month seemed to crawl by, this month seems to have flown by. I'm currently out posting orders before the last minute packing that we need to do before the con. I've got quite a few errands to run to pick up a float and all that. Floats are super important for a convention, but anyway. So yesterday I went to go and charge up my card reader, because yes, I have a card reader. I will say, if you are thinking of doing events in general, having a card reader is super helpful. Back in 2019 when I did conventions, a lot of people were opting to go cashless now. And this is because with queues at conventions and the card machines at conventions, as in like the cash machines, unfortunately sometimes they run out of cash and blah 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 blah, and a lot of people don't carry cash on them these days. So I bought a new card reader. I had it for about 6 months before the panini, and everything was fine, blah blah blah. So I went to go and charge it, and card reader's dead. Charged it up and it was like, card reader error, your card reader has sustained damage, contact PayPal. And I'm like, excuse me? This can't happen, it's 2 days before the event. No. So I contact PayPal and I'm like, my card reader's goosed. They're like, well, it is out of warranty because you only get a 1 year warranty. And I was like, yeah, but I have an event this weekend. And I literally bought this in 2019. And I obviously didn't get a full year out of it because panini. So yeah, they've sent me out a new one, but that's not going to arrive in time for the convention. So I ordered an Exhibitor that should arrive today thanks to Amazon Prime. Like, I know a lot of people, I try and not order from Amazon when I can, but when I need certain things, like today, it's very useful. So yeah, like, that was the one stress I genuinely did not need before the event. But, you know, stuff like this happens. I've packed pretty much everything. I just need to pack clothing. I need to pick up a float now. Going to drop my keys off at my friends because they're looking after Bella for the weekend. But yeah, card reader goosed. And you know what the weird thing is? I was talking to a lot of art people in the community, and their card reader has also died. I think it's a conspiracy. No, the likelihood is just that because it hasn't been turned on in such a long time that the software's corrupted. And it's not able to update itself because it hasn't been turned on in over a year. So it's kind of understandable. At the same time, there goes 50 quid. It's another expense. Having a small business is fun, guys. Right, I'm going to continue to go and get wet and go and get hair dye because I need to dye this mop.
So it was time finally to take our journey to the MCM at London Comic Con. It was a pretty not very eventful journey. We got to the London Excel Centre and then it was time for setup. So I know a lot of people do ask me about conventions, and I can do a more dedicated conventions video. But for me, it's all about height. When you're at a convention table, your convention table should stand out enough that a person who has never seen your table before, who has never experienced anything on your table before, they should be able to see your table and instantly recognize that it is you. Signage is super important, whether or not you use a roller banner, whether or not you're using the bunting sign is like what I use in particular. Something that has your name clear and concise on it can really help someone spot your table from a mile away. Now, height is super important at conventions because you often find people who are straight up at your table. If there are people behind them, they cannot see what's on your table. So that's why height is super important. Now I'm using these grid cubes. All they are is shoe storage grid cubes. Honestly, you can get them from Amazon, you can get them from most places, and they're just known as storage organizers. And now I get these ones and not the grid ones because the grid ones are made from metal and they're very heavy. I use these ones because they are a blank canvas for me to be able to put my prints on. Now, to apply my prints, if you saw earlier, I actually pre-apply all of my prints so that the display copies stay on there, and I just use blue tack. I don't use anything special, I just use blue tack on there. But if you're like other people who like to set up at the convention because they're not deciding on what their table setup is going to be until they're at the convention, I've noticed that other people use magnets. We use the grid cubes up on the table, and you do get people saying, oh, is it not really unstable? To be honest, once you've got everything on there, because for example, on one side we have the stair build up, I call it, where we put the books. The books are so heavy that honestly you cannot move that table. If you really wanted to, you could try, you could yeet the table, but once the stock is on it, it's pretty heavy. My recommendation for this is try and make sure that you are weighting your table properly, because any slight bit of wind, I've had someone's display fall on me before at a convention, so you have to make sure that your weight is distributed. A really good way of doing this, and one of my friends actually does this, they have like little balloon sandbags that they just attach, and what it does is it keeps the entire grid system stable. Now, because we already have like a sort of like set way that the table is set up, I already pre-do all my prints. I know exactly what's going on what side and everything like that. Now, the only reason why you see me here being like a little unsure, going, which one am I doing next, is because I wasn't sure what side was going what. Normally, I have it so like one side is just all plant witch based, and then the other side is miscellaneous. Now, we don't do miscellaneous prints anymore. We have like mushroom hunters, and we have plant witch. That is pretty much what is always on my table since I've discontinued a big portion of prints. I discontinued a big portion of prints just because when you're at a convention, if you have a consistency within the work, it helps. Next up is decoration. Now, I find that when my table is very well decorated, it helps sell the work. You've got to try and find a fine balance between it. Now, with my table, I decorate it for the season. So since it's autumn at the moment, we have a very autumnal range. When it's the summer period, we have a very summery table. Spring, we have a very spring themed table. And if we ever do in a winter event, I would like it to be holly leaves and snowflakes. Like, I will theme the table to match the theme of the season. This means that if someone comes by, say, to a London Comic Con in May, my table will be very green, but if they come by in October, the table is very orange. This helps the table seem fresh for a new person who may have not, for a person who may have seen it in May. They'll be like, hang on a minute, I saw you there, your table was a different colour. Yes, this is why we do it. There's me doing my little happy dance that we've finally got the grid cube set up. Because it has been a while, it took me a little longer than normal, but my partner, being the handy cameraman, was being very helpful. So this is what we do with the step setup here. As you can see, we have it so that the steps go there, and the way I do it is the books that I would like to sell the best, I put at eye level. This means putting at the highest level possible. There's a few reasons for this, and people tend to look eye level before looking down or looking round. It's to do with the way that we observe things. So if you want a product to sell better, you want it at eye level. This can just help in lots of different ways. So for example, I put the books with the most appealing covers up top, the ones that we want to sell, and the books where I'm like, okay, if it sells, it sells, I tend to put towards the bottom. I also have like a specific layout for like different books and different things that we are trying to sell. And this was interesting because a lot of this stock has never been to a convention before, so I was trying to work out how to do it. You'll also notice as well, I barely have anything that you can pick up on the table. There is a reason for this. One, because I now have so much stock that I really can't put it flat on the table. Two, was also because of COVID restrictions. We had to be a little bit more careful with what people could touch and handle. Normally we have like a display box out where all the pins are out in it. And unfortunately, we couldn't do that. Well, we could, but it's not really like we had the room. As you can see, like by the time the book displays have gone up, by the time the pin displays have gone up, and the print display that's on the left hand side, we don't have a lot of room. and this is mainly because I have a lot of stock. It can be quite difficult to have an overwhelming amount of stuff. I always get comments of people going, you have a lot of stuff, and in the back of my mind I'm literally like, yes, I have a lot of stuff, but this isn't even all of it. And it does help that I have a large portion of books to take up the table, but I also have a lot of pins and this, that, and the other. A lot of the stuff that we have on the table, I try and make sure it's got backing cards on it. You'll also notice everything has a price on it. Pricing is so important, and the reason being for this is you will still get people asking you, how much is this? No matter how many times you put the pricing out on your table, you have people asking, how much does this cost? How much is this print? How much is blah 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 blah? And we I always have a helper. I always try and make it so that it's easy enough that say that we take card, but it's also good to say, hey, I take card as well. And I always ask when people make a payment, said, how would you like to pay today? Would you like to pay cash or card? We also have paper bags that I put everything in, and every time we make a sale we put a business card in those paper bags. This is so that people will always know where they got a product from, because no matter how much advertising you do, no matter how much placement you have with your name on it, 9 times out of 10 after you've done a convention, you've got your haul, you're like, I can't remember who I got that from. So placing business cards in those paper bags to give away, it seems like an excess, but it works. I'm telling you now, it really works. So the adventure begins, and it's Comic-Con day 1, aka Friday, the more relaxed day out of all of them. So we've got the table set up, ready to go. Partner is doing a coffee run, masks are ready, hand sanitizer at the ready. Let's do this convention safely and have a lot of fun. But I'm so happy with the final look of the table. I know you've already seen it, but you know when you just think, I finally nailed that aesthetic? I'm so happy right now. But yeah, I probably might do a walk around today to say hi to people, because today's probably the day where we're actually going to have a chance to walk around, which is going to be amazing. So yeah, let's do this. Comic-Con day 1. Let's get caffeinated, y'all. Day 1 of Comic-Con has certainly been an interesting and amazing convention. I always forget how much I love doing Comic-Cons and actually getting to meet people and say hi. And honestly, I've missed this. I missed it a lot. And now I'm gonna say hi to beautiful people, because I won't get much of a chance for the rest of the weekend. But yeah. Also, oh, it's so cool. Let me show you.
Okay, it is day 3. We are on the final day of the event. As you can probably tell, my voice is going, which is always a fantastic sign of a great convention. It is 10 minutes before we open, which is insane. Like, I cannot believe, like, it's already over, if that makes any sense. I say it's already over. It's not over until it's over. But yeah, so it's been a really good weekend. We've run low on quite a few things, but that's because I packed like a certain amount of each stock, which makes me realize, okay, there's certain things that sell better at a convention than they do online, which is very, very interesting when you do events, because you don't realize that stock that sells online is very different from stock that sells at conventions. So that's why we have the convention stock and also have the Etsy stock as well. So the best sellers for this weekend, because I know people are going to be asking, the best sellers for this weekend were the notepads. This is all we've got left, which is absolutely insane. I'm going to have to order more of these because these were not even up on the store yet. Also wooden pins. Pins are always really popular because a lot of people like to wear art, and with them being wooden pins, they're a little bit different from enamel pins, which is sort of interesting as well. Another thing that's been a really big seller for us has been the Fox foil print, which is very, very interesting to me because that's, yet again, it's something that's been on the store for a while and has like been sat there for a bit. I'm going to try and get a little bit more footage of all the amazing people that you see here, because I really think that you should be following them and saying hi and this, that and the other. It's been really, really safe while we've been here as well. Everyone's been wearing masks. Like when we've been behind the table, we've been alternating them on and off, just because after a bit they're really starting to hurt my ears. But it's been really safe. Everyone's been using hand sanitizer. Social distancing definitely has been a wonderful thing with all this space. So much space behind the tables. I've never had this much space at an artist alley table ever. But yeah, so I'm gonna go and finish setting up for the day, but this has been an amazing experience and I'm so excited. It's football next month as well. We get to do this all over again and I'm very excited. Let's do this. Convention is done. Do 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 do. I am so tired. Now to pack down all of this, get it in the suitcases, and then see how getting back tomorrow. That's going to be fun, isn't it? Right. Let's get packing. We've got packing to do. Hello, how are you? It's been a few days. We got back late Monday evening, and honestly, since then, I have just been passed out in bed. Like, I knew doing an event after so long of not doing one was gonna really take it out of me, and so I've been taking the majority of this week off. By the way, it's Thursday now, just to like get an inkling of where my head has been and everything. I've done nothing. I've literally done nothing but play Cozy Grove in Animal Crossing. Like, I'm getting my Animal Crossing town ready for the new update. It's something I kind of needed to do, especially in the lead up to Expo. Like, I was really, really busy. I was sick before Expo, so it was a lot. But I have a funny story to tell you about the last day. So Expo's always a really, really long weekend, or doing conventions always is a really, really, like, it's an extended amount of time. Like, we're talking, we end up doing like 16 to 18 hour days, right? It's tiring, right? So where we're staying at our friend's house in London, they live about an hour and a half away on the tube, about an hour and 20 minutes away on the tube, which isn't too bad at all, considering like they're putting us up. They're absolutely wonderful. Our friends Retrate Bit, highly recommend them. They're really, really lovely people. Just in general, their work is fantastic and everything. Sponsor. Like I love them so much. But so we've been staying with them all weekend, and it's a very, very long weekend, because we were getting up at like 6 a.m. and then we weren't getting back to theirs until like 9 p.m. and then we were eating, and then by the time we'd eaten and done everything, it was like midnight and we'd have to do it all again. So it's a really, really long weekend, hence why my body was just no. So on the last day, our friend has their car, and they were like, okay, so I'm going to take my car to the expo. We're going to drive us all there in the morning, and in the evening, I will take all the stock back, so then we don't have to travel on the tube, because normally we get an Uber. And it's like, okay, that's fantastic. So we pile in the car in the morning, and we can hear something scraping at the bottom of the car. I think his suspension might have just gone. So he goes, okay, I'm going to call emergency like services, you guys go on the tube. And we get all that done, 20 minutes to spare, absolutely fine. Like, it was a bit of a mad rush in the morning, but it worked out okay. Turns out that their car is completely goosed, unfortunately, which I do feel really, really bad for them. But they were saying it was an old car anyway. But just giving all my love, because that was an absolute nightmare in the morning. Day goes by absolutely fine. It's really good for a Sunday, because Sunday tends to be the sort of like slowest day out of all of them. But surprisingly, it was just as good as some of the other 2 days that we were there. We did really, really well over the weekend, which was really amazing. So we pack up, we say our goodbyes to people, we have long chats with some people, you know, talking for a while, and then we go, okay, the crowds have died down now, let's go and get an Uber. Because normally what we do is we wait until like loads of everyone's exited the exhibit, and after an hour down of packing down, we sort of like just go and then like travel and stuff like that, because it just means that we don't end up getting caught in the crowds with the suitcases, which is fantastic. So we get our Uber, we have to order an Uber XL, and we get in there, and it's taking us the scenic route. You know, we're seeing all the beautiful sights of London. Now, I'm not a regular to London, but you know, there's historical buildings. I'm a historical nerd. Love it. 10 out of 10. So we're going through and like enjoying ourselves, and he's going the Tower Bridge way. We're all absolutely knackered in the car. Like, yet again, it's like this is the third day of Comic-Con. Like, we're all absolutely tired, and all we want to do is just get back to our friend's flat and just like crash on the sofa and eat food. It's all we want to do, because we know that we've got to leave early in the morning on the coach. So we're in the Uber, goes across the Tower Bridge, and we hear a bang, and we're like, what was that? He popped his tyre. Crosses the Tower Bridge and goes, I think I popped my tyre. Okay, mate. Drops us out of the car, and then leaves us, and we have to wait for another Uber to come by. 40 minutes it takes. We're stood there, absolutely freezing. Insert clip so you can see, right? Absolutely freezing we were. And 40 minutes it took for another Uber to arrive, and it eventually does. But then the other Uber charges us for the journey, and we were like, nah mate, you didn't finish the journey. And he broke my suitcase. When I said I'd lift it, he lifted it up like by the top handle, and the handle just came off. And I was like, that's why I said I'd lift it, and you're meant to lift it with both handles, because you're meant to lift it with both so it distributes weight, blah, 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 whatever. But I was just like, oh no. So we just stood there like this, freezing, with all of my stock, all of my friends' stock, outside of Tower Bridge. We eventually got back quite late, and we ate some food. But oh my god, just like what a way to end Comic-Con. Oh my god, so it's funny now, but at the time it was not funny, because we were just so exhausted after an extended weekend. Oh dear. Anyway, it was like, we've got 3 days till the end of the month and I've got so much work to do. And I'm glad I took my time for myself, but now I need to get myself sorted so that I can pack orders and get on with the rest of my working week. Comic-Con was a blast. I'll tell you all about it in a sec, but let me get sorted first. Bye. So for my last few days of the month, I didn't really do that much. I decided to catch up on Drawtober since having the event. I kind of like took a week and a half off just to like do the convention and rest afterwards and recharge myself. If you want to see like every drawing I did for Drawtober, I have posted a video. You can totally go and check that out, where you can see every drawing that I did for Drawtober. And that for others who are asking, yes, there is a sketchbook coming out. It's actually getting delivered in the next day, so that I'll have that for Thought Bubble. But speaking of events, I know you're all going to be asking me how London was. It felt very safe. There was a lot of social distancing measurements in place. The majority of people were masked. I know in order to be able to get in, you had to prove that you either had a vaccine or a negative COVID test. So it felt very safe in that sort of environment. We had so much space on the Artist Alley because normally there's about 300, 400 artists in Artist Alley. But those numbers were pretty much halved or thirded. Like there was very little of us in comparison to how many of us there normally are. And not only were we very spaced out, they'd had like these backing boards behind us. Now we don't normally get that, as in Artist Alley, we don't get backing boards. And if we'd known about them, we would have definitely been able to utilize them at the time. We didn't really get much setup information until like a week before the event, which is not particularly good. If I was to give my feedback on that aspect, it would be nice to get that setup information sooner. But you know, you win some, you lose some, and at the end of the day, the event still ran and it felt wonderful to be there. It was a really interesting event because like normally the way I would say it is, for an event, for me, for it to be a success, I would like to cover my costs and make some profit. I don't go to events to make a massive amount of money. I go to events to promote my work. Now a lot of people would say, hey, that's really bad business sense, but I have built quite a reputation in the convention scene because I'm pretty much, if there's an event, I try and be at it. And like it's one of those, and that sounds really big-headed of me, but it's not. Like people will recognize me from the being at these events. And I find that repeat customers or repeat people who come again and again, and it's because they've seen you at every event, they've spoken speaking to you. Like there's a lot of different aspects that come to that. Now for me, if I cover costs, that's a free event that I managed to be able to go to, and we've managed to hand out business cards and more people will know your name. In fact, I think half of my Etsy sales are because people have bought from me before, or they've seen me at an event and I didn't have something, or I sold out of something at the event and they're able to get it up on the store. So when the panini hit, and I literally just quit my job just before the panini to do this full time, like I was really concerned because all the events that we'd had, my big portion of my income were gone. And to be able to go back and do that again, it felt amazing. Like it's been so long since I'd done it, and it just felt phenomenal. By Friday, not only had we covered costs, we started to make profit, which is fantastic for an event. Like that's phenomenal. So anything that we made from there was profit, which can then go back into the business. It's never ending. Like I'm always investing in new products, because that's super important to me.
at the end of the month, we had like a little Halloween party. It's not really a Halloween party. It's literally just like me and my partner and our friends just like popping around, and we watched some movies. I think we watched What We Do in the Shadows, and we ate so much food and just like did the Monster Mash. It was really really fun, and I carved this absolutely terrible pumpkin. I know it's terrible. I am not a pumpkin carving connoisseur, let's be honest. But I had fun. Like, I enjoy carving pumpkins. The cat was absolutely terrified of it, but who cares? Spooky season is like one of my favorite seasons. I love like the palettes changing. I love seeing like palettes change anyway. I love when the weather starts to get colder and I can wear jumpers, and I always feel more inspired in the colder months than I do in the warmer months. There is so much about the changing of seasons which I just love, and I think a lot of people like autumn because it is a drastic change. You're going from the lush greens to the deep oranges. It's a beautiful change to see. I also like spring as well. I like seeing like how it goes from like the trees being bare to like leaves starting to appear. I don't know. I like seeing it. It makes me happy. um I'm really glad to be doing events again. It's been too long and I've really, really missed it. I'm excited to do Thought Bubble. In fact, by the time I'm recording this, I will be, and this video goes up, I'm actually doing Thought Bubble prep at this moment in time. So I'm like restocking a lot of stuff. And that was another thing. We sold out quite a bit of things at that event, which I do need to restock, but I'm planning a big restock for the new year because it's a bit late in the season to do a massive restock. And as promised, the end of the video would not be complete without Bella playing away. She really missed us over the weekend that we were away, and I always feel bad for leaving her. She was with our friends, so she was, she stayed at home and like our friends came in and looked after her, but I still felt bad. But she does have one vice, well, two vices actually: dreamies and zip ties. Thank you all so much for watching the studio vlog. I hope you enjoyed, and if you made through this far, tell me, if you were carving a pumpkin, what would you carve in your pumpkin? Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and as always, folks, stay creative.